driver, winners and losers. Who sucked and who didn't at the Brazilian Grand Prix? Well, here we go. So who was last? Yeah, I'm sorry, Bortoletto. You're kind of at the back. It wasn't completely your fault, but you could have, unlike I think Piastri really committed, it was a silly thing to do, maybe a bit desperate, and it was such heartbreak for you. I'm so sorry, but there we go. Now, next up, this man here, I mean, he wasn't great in qualifying. He had that mistake, albeit it was a difficult one to judge, because if you look at it, yeah, Colapinto did kind of jerk when Lewis Hamilton was behind him on the start-finish straight, trying to pass him, and still, yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one to justify. Lewis again, kind of the master, a bit like Gabriel Bortoletto, of his own demise, and that just sent him backwards and ended up with him, you know, going out the race. Did it need a 5-second penalty? I don't really know, but there we go. Hopefully better next time in Las Vegas, where he finished second with George Russell. But yeah, disappointing weekend, disappointing race for Lewis Hamilton. Next up, we have got Yuki Tsunoda, who finished 17th at the points. Now, if you look at Max Verstappen, yeah, it's the same car. He did much better, but then Yuki wasn't afforded the braking park from a rules that's all work in your car, simply because, as I've mentioned before, is it favouritism? Absolutely, it is favouritism towards Max Verstappen, but understandably, because Max Verstappen gets the job done, but it also then hurts Yuki Tsunoda more. So Yuki Tsunoda doesn't, I think, have the most up-to-date Red Bull. It's nearly up-to-date, but not quite. But yeah, disappointing. Also, Franco Colapinto. I don't know why he's up there, so I'll talk about you in a bit, Franco Colapinto, because I actually think he had a fairly decent one. Next up then, after Lewis Hamilton, let's have a look, shall we? Yeah, a familiar face in the guise of Lance Stroll. What can I say? Very average. Not great, but yeah. Now we can talk about Franco Colapinto. Average, yeah. Not great, meh. Really, I mean, he was quite fast at times, but yeah, I was just a bit disappointed, really. Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz is next up. So, I mean, the Williams didn't really do that much of a great job, did they? They threatened to get some points in relation to Carlos Sainz, but no. And Alexander Albon, they were maybe in a position. It just, whatever happened, it just didn't really work out for Carlos Sainz at all. So there we go. Next up, we've got Fernando. I believe it's Fernando Alonso, finished 14th. Ironically, his number. Again, yeah. I mean, even with fighting with Max Verstappen, he just let him by. I understand why, in a way, you don't want to fight people, but I always think, if I was a team boss, I'd want you to fight. That even if it's the fastest car, try and put up a fight. Because you never know if that fastest car then gets a penalty or something later. But then, you as other people say, if you fight someone that's going to come past inevitably, you're going to hurt your race. I don't know. I mean, imagine saying that to Jules Villeneuve, or Nigel Mansell, or Ayrton Senna. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, next up we've got Esteban Ocon, who finished 12th. I mean, again, ruined in a way by Alexander Albon. And they did have a fairly solid car here, so I think you'll be somewhat disappointed. Just a bit like this man here. As in Charles Leclerc, he only lasted 6 laps. He was doing all right. I kind of put him here. I don't want to say it's really a negative. It's more of a meh, unclassified, if I'm honest. Really, simply because he didn't really feature in the race. But he did nothing wrong. And he was looking all right. He was looking okay and potentially on for a podium. But who knows? We will never know now. Again, Alexander Albon, the man that finished 11th, just missing out on a top 10. Yeah, disappointing. Again, slightly disappointing, if I'm honest. Yeah, really. So we've got next up Nico Hülkenberg. I think we're looking at the good stuff now. And yeah, again, in the Audi, really, really good. A solid race, which, I think, is his car that fast? I don't really know. Yes, I know, in terms of physics, you can only go as fast as the car, but I think he absolutely got the absolute maximum out of his car. And next up is Pierre Gasly, who finished 10th. He finished behind Hulkenberg, who finished 9th, but simply because that Alpine has not been the best car, and I still don't think that Alpine is potentially one of the slower cars in Brazil. And like Hulkenberg, I think Gasly once got the absolute maximum out of his Alpine and did brilliant. So we got Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson the next, and you can pretty much put them together because they both did really, really good jobs. Isaac Hadjar made the two-stop work and caught up to Liam Lawson. They had a wham-bam battle, and I tell you what, if both of them were doing this year in a lot of the races, I appreciate the car is not that good everywhere. Surely Red Bull are going to be like, yeah, maybe we keep these pieces, maybe we keep these drivers, and Lindblad has to take a year out, for example. But yeah, I'm not too sure. So we've got Oscar Piastri, who simply didn't have that much pace. At one point, it looked like he was going to challenge Lando Norris after his 3-into-1 move into turn 1 after the safety car, which we've spoken about in relation to the penalty. Yeah. But I think I still expected better. When he came out on the mediums, behind Max Verstappen, who was on the softs, I know there were used mediums, but I really thought, with George Russell struggling, I was disappointed that he couldn't at least finish 4th, which is obviously why I've put him here. Yeah, that was really disappointing. So Oliver Behrman finishing 6th, another points finish. And what I loved about him, there were really decent overtakes. There was almost like a dive bomb. I think it was on Liam Lawson. It was definitely, I think it was one of the racing boards. But it was absolutely perfected. I mean, he is I think now we've got into the second half of the season. He's just the right amount of aggressive. He's had an absolutely stonking weekend in Brazil overall. And yeah, Haas must be really proud, especially going into 2026. This guy is looking awesome, and he's completely dominated in the second half of the year his teammate Esteban Ocon. So George Russell, while I think George Russell will be disappointed, he didn't quite get comfortable with the car like Kimi Antonelli. He even tried it on the mediums, if you remember, in qualifying, but in the race he had a brake problem, and the fact that he held off a much faster Oscar Piastri. The Mercedes is good at holding people off, aren't they? But he held off a much faster Oscar Piastri, I think, is a really good thing. Bang tidy George Russell. He finishes, we're into the top 4 now in our drivers. Brilliant. Now in 3rd, yeah, he won the race. He did a really good job, but it was one of those like classic old Vettel Verstappen start from pole, and mostly he was kind of unchallenged. He passed Verstappen at one point, but Verstappen didn't really fight it. He had a 10-second lead. At no point in hindsight now, at times it looked like he could, but at no point in hindsight was Lando Norris really challenged that much in the race. Not that I'm saying it's easy to win the Brazilian Grand Prix, but that's why he's 3rd. This guy is in 2nd. Well done for your first podium. And the reason this guy is above Lando Norris, who did beat him, simply because towards the end he soaked up all that pressure from a 4-time Max Verstappen, the 4-time world champion, who no one else could really resist. And he did. For like a good 3 or 4 laps, Max Verstappen tried his best. Maybe Max Verstappen's softs wore off, but he was still in the DRS zone within a second, in the mirrors of Kimi Antonelli, scaring Max Verstappen. Absolutely. And that's why Kimi Antonelli is our 2nd best driver of the day. And who else? Who else was it going to be but Max Verstappen, driver of the day, starting from the pit lane with, yes, a very good car, but you still had to drive it. You still had to pass. You still had to get it to the end. Get it to the end he did, from pit lane to podium, in spite of a extra pit stop for a puncture. What more can we say? Max Verstappen, you are our driver of the day. Brilliant. Has it saved his world championship? I don't know, but it certainly suspended McLaren being too comfortable about one of their drivers being world championship as we head into Las Vegas. I think Max Verstappen did absolutely everything he can. You could not have asked anything more from Max Verstappen or Kimi or Lando, but Max was absolutely on a tear. Well, yeah, what can I say other than well done, Max Verstappen? So I'm going to leave you with this happy face of Lando Norris, your winner for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Maybe not your driver of the day, the man that's now 24 points in the lead of the championship over his teammate, 49 points I think over Max Verstappen. I still have no idea who's going to win this championship. I mean, anything can happen in the next 3 races. Is Norris the favourite? Well, he's the guy leading the championship by nearly the best, nearly a win. But we're going into Las Vegas, and I think if he beats Max Verstappen, like if he finishes first, Max Verstappen I think finishes third. Maybe I need to have a look at the maths. That means Max Verstappen is going to be, I think, out of the World Championship. But we'll have to see. Because it'll be more than 50 or something points. Because remember, Qatar's a sprint race. Yeah. So anyway, I digress. If you made it to the end, please give us a lovely subscribe. If you are not, hit that notification button so you do not miss a video. Thank you so much for watching this. I really, really appreciate it. If you've made it to the end, we are not worthy at all. But thank you. It is, yeah, I can't understand how I appreciate every like, every subscribe, every comment brings a massive smile to my face. It's not easy organising all these videos. I came back after watching it with my mum, who, yeah, we both watched Formula 1 together, my mum and my brother. We love it. And it was what more do you want? It was a really entertaining race. But until we meet again, thank you very much. We'll speak to you soon. But above all else, stay safe.